Hello and welcome to GaCounts. In this tutorial, we're going to be working on creating a new issue in the system. To begin, we log into GaCounts. If you do not have a UGA MyID, click the standard login link to be taken to the GaCounts traditional login screen. If you do have a UGA MyID, proceed to MyID login. Once you are logged in, click Planning from the left navigation bar. To begin, select the Create New Local Issue link. Enter the title of your issue. Choose from our list of federal issues the topic that most closely relates to the subject matter of your issue. Select all program function areas that apply. Select the geographic scope. Select the age of your issue and choose the expected duration. Now you'll begin entering the narrative portions of your issue. A few things to keep in mind as you work. Keep it brief. There are many issues that we're compiling across the state into one big report. So if you go on too long, it's probably just going to be edited down anyway. Also, remember your audience. This is for the general public, so please use layperson terms and avoid jargon. The summary is a high-level overview of your program, so just a bird's eye view of what your program is about. Situation and priorities are what gave rise to the problem and what are the priority areas to address. So what's the current state of the situation? Why are you working on this, basically? Identify your problem here. Assumptions are the beliefs we have about the program and how it will work. So, for example, if we do X, the result will be Y. Activity is a description of exactly what you're going to be doing. So this particular research you're going to be working on or the programs that you're going to be delivering. Goals and objectives for the program are going to be the long term, the long view. So what do you hope will be accomplished as a result of your research or your programming? Now we have another place in the issue for you to list outcomes, short term, medium term, and long term, but this is going to be ultimately what we hope to accomplish by undertaking this work. Select No when asked if you're creating a statewide logic model. This is actually your individual plan. Click Continue. You will be taken to your main issue page, and we'll work from this page for the rest of this process. You'll notice several headings as you look over the page, and beside each of those headings there is an edit link. So every time you see an edit link, you know that that's a place where you can go in and make changes to your plan. Let's say you're working with other faculty members on this plan. Let's go ahead and add a collaborator. Select the edit link beside the collaborators heading. This will take you to the collaborators screen where you can add multiple people to your issue. By default, this list only shows people in your working group. If you haven't set up a working group in GaCounts already, don't worry about that. Just click the click here link and it will change this list so that it shows everyone in our personnel directory. So when you drop down the list, you'll see a long list of everyone who is in the CAES directory. You can start typing their last name and it'll jump down there to keep you from having to scroll so much. Keep in mind that you can only add people to your issue that are in our personnel database, so no outside folks can be added in this capacity. Once you've selected the person, click Add Collaborator, and then you can continue to do that to add as many folks as you need to. Once your list is complete, click the Submit Changes button. This will bring you back to your issue main page and you'll see your collaborators have been added. Let's go ahead and add a department now. You can have multiple departments, just like you can have multiple collaborators. Select the edit link beside departments. And you'll see a list of all of our departments and groups from the database. You can go down the list and pick and choose which you want to add. Once you have all departments selected, scroll down to the bottom and click Submit Change. You will see that departments have been added under the department heading. The rest of the sections here at the top you really don't need to worry about. You're welcome to go ahead and put in program areas and topics and keywords, but that's not required. So you can go ahead and move down to the input section. And our first area in the input section is funding sources. So let's click the edit button beside funding sources. Now you're going to choose all funding sources that apply. Hatch are UGA research funds, Smith-Lever are UGA extension funds, 1890 extension funds are Fort Valley, and 1890 Evans-Allen are Fort Valley research. Everything else are non-formula funds. If you have applied for and received non-formula funds to work on this project in addition to our formula funds, we want you to go ahead and list that here. So check which apply, and then in the funding description, give us some detail. We don't need a lot of information, just if you can give us the name of the grant and the amount. NEFA does ask for how much additional funding we're receiving to match their funds, so that's very helpful information if you can provide it. Once you're finished, click Submit Changes. This brings us back to our main issue page. As we go through, we'll see the edit next to each section that we need to address. So our next edit section, edit link, is knowledge areas. So let's click there. These knowledge areas are created by NIFA, so it's not something that UGA created. These are topics that are used across institutions across the United States. So they want to know what areas your work is related to, which knowledge areas, and they want to know what percentage for each knowledge area. So click the drop-down box and you'll see the full list of knowledge areas. Once you've chosen an area, you need to now assign a percentage. So if 50% of your project is working on soil science, then type in 50%. Then click Add Knowledge Area. Now you can select a new area. Type in the percent for this one, and click Add Knowledge Area again. Once your knowledge areas equal 100%, you can go ahead and click the link to return to the main record view. Back on the issue page, we'll see that we are finished with the input section and now can move on to the output section of the issue. And the first area in our output section is program methods. Let's click the edit link there. Select the checkbox beside each program method that will be used with your issue. Then click Submit Changes. The next output section is activity. Now this is the actual what is going to be done with your project. So these are the actual research itself that you're doing, or the programs you're going to conduct, 20 face-to-face workshops with clientele, that sort of thing. So here's where you really are describing the meat and potatoes of the work that you're going to be doing. Click the edit link beside activity. Type in your activity description. Then click the Submit Changes button. The next output section with an edit link is target audience. So this is asking who is this information for, or who is receiving this programming. So it may be industry people, it may be other scientists, it may be producers, or all of the above. After you click the edit link, enter the description of your target audience and click the Submit Changes button. Next on the issue page, you're going to see a lot of tables. Each of these tables has a heading. You can see contact targets, session targets, peer-reviewed pubs, other significant pubs. For now, you're just going to ignore these sections. We've left them here so that you can see the information that you're going to be reporting when you come back next year and respond to your plan of work. So there's nothing you need to enter now while you're creating your plan of work, but this is information that we're going to want from you whenever it comes time for you to enter your progress report each year. The last field in the output section is for custom output measures. If you would like to create your own custom output measure, click the edit link beside the custom output measures. A custom output measure may be, let's say you want to do 3 podcasts for the year. So you could enter that here. Click the Add Output Measure button. If you'd like, you can continue to add other output measures. An output is just anything you're going to produce as it pertains to this issue. Once you're finished, click the Return to the Main Record View link. Okay, so we've done our inputs, we've done our outputs. Now let's jump to the Outcomes section. We enter our goals and objectives when we were first creating our plan. So now let's look at the different short-term, medium-term, and long-term outcomes. Click the edit link by short-term outcomes. Short-term outcomes are things we'd like to see change within the next year. These are generally change in knowledge measures. So what did clientele learn as a result of your programming? You'll want to make sure that your outcomes are measurable. Click the Add Outcome Measure button, then return to Main Record View. Now you want to add a medium-term outcome. Click the Edit link next to Medium-Term Outcomes. Medium-term outcome measures are going to be change in action measures. So perhaps % of people adopting a change in practice after attending a workshop. Click the Add Outcome Measure button, then return to Main Record link. Let's go back to the Outcome section. We can see our short-term outcome, our medium-term outcome. Now let's go ahead and click Edit to add a long-term outcome. A long-term outcome measure would be a change in condition outcome. So a percentage of decrease in overall foodborne illness or obesity, animal disease, or an increase in harvest yield. Those are examples of long-term outcomes. Click the Add Outcome Measure button, then return to Main Record link. Okay, let's look over our outcomes. Okay, we have our short, medium, and long-term outcomes. NIFA likes to see quantitative measures with qualitative statements to support the data. So we want to make sure that we can actually measure these things in a quantitative way, but we have qualitative statements that can back up those measurements. Now let's edit our external factors. Go down the list and select any factors that might impact your issue. Then click the Submit Changes button. You can provide detail as to how those external factors might impact your outcome. Click the link beside Explanation of External Factors and just provide any detail as to how those factors are going to have an impact. Then click the Submit Changes button. Next, we're going to be looking at the evaluation methods that you'll be using in your programming. Click the Edit link beside Evaluation Methods. Select all the methods that you'll be using with your issue. Then click the Submit Changes button. Now you can provide a little detail about your evaluation methods. Click the Edit link beside Explanation of Evaluation Methods. Here you can go into more detail about your evaluation methods, maybe describe the tools you're using or what types of questions you're asking. Then click the Submit Changes button. Now let's talk about how eExtension will be used. Describe if you or collaborators will be members of or leaders of any communities in eExtension. If not, you can just type eExtension will not be used in this issue. Then click the Submit Changes button. And our last session is Collaborative Efforts. Click on the Collaborative Efforts link. This is where you're going to highlight any collaborative efforts that you have going on in your issue. So interdepartmental work is good. Work across multiple institutions is great, especially if you're doing multi-state projects. You want to be sure that you highlight that here. If you're working with, let's say, a government regulatory institution or the Boys and Girls Club or any sort of organization, NIFA really likes to see those collaborative efforts, and we like to highlight them in our report. So if you could just put any plans there for collaborative work. Then click the Submit Changes button. Okay, you are officially finished with your issue. Your last step is to submit the issue. So click the Change Status button and select Submit for approval. Then click the Change Status button. So GaCounts knows that once you submit this plan and change the status, you're not going to be able to edit it anymore. So it wants you to confirm this action one last time just to make sure you're absolutely certain that you're finished. Click the Confirm Action button. Then you will get a message at the top of your screen saying that the status change has been successfully performed, and you will see that your issue is now in the Submit for Approval status. You can see your issues at any time by clicking the Planning link on the left navigation bar. On the Planning page, you'll see a list of your issues. You may notice there's an Editor column, so you may notice some issues in there that are not yours, that are the editor is someone else. Those are issues that you've been added as a collaborator to. So you can see those issues, however, you cannot edit them or make any changes to them at all. So just click on the title of your issue, and it'll bring you right back to your issue page, so you can review that at any time. And that's it for creating a new issue in GaCounts. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at 706-542-8837, or you can email me, sunny@uga.edu. We have another tutorial available on the help site for how to respond to a plan of work. So be sure to visit that GaCounts help site for more help documentations. Thank you.